This is the secret to stacking your sales team calendars with dream clients and pushing away people who should not be buying your stuff. So if you're tired of booking sales calls only to see deals not close, turning high quality sales reps because they're not making what they want to, tired of dealing with low quality leads and low show rates, tired of your ad spend not being as profitable as you want to, then good. You're in the right place. And to be frank, you're not alone. I hired a marketing agency, and ever since he took over, I started dealing with all these problems. We had our $12 leads and $90 sales calls, which sounds cute, but the ugly part of it was that it took 30 sales calls booked to get one deal to close. 30% show rates, terrible close rates. We had sales reps leaving. We had to double and triple book our calendars just to get one person to show up in a call slot. And our cost per acquisition got higher than ever. It was insanity. And I made it my life's mission to crack the code on this so we could only get dream clients hopping on calls, knowing what's going on, showing up at a high rate, ready to buy. I spend a majority of my time marketing, and we currently spend about 30 grand a month on Facebook ads. And really the topic of today's video is all about calendar efficiency and calendar management. A lot of business owners actually don't prioritize this at all. What calendar efficiency really is it's like how few sales calls can I book to get a closed deal. And the really only levers you can pull is increasing show rate, increasing close rate. And this is where we see a lot of business owners fail. They have like 40% show rates, pretty bad close rates, but they're booking sales calls. So they're like, let's just gas it. Let's spend more money on ads. Let's go hire more setters, hire more closers. We'll figure it out later. Really hard to get profitable when you have to book that many sales calls to make a deal close. You have so much management debt because you have to now manage this massive team of sales reps. They're not making as much money as they should be making. They're dealing with low quality leads and low show rates. And a tough part here is you can't ever get high quality talent because your reps aren't making enough money. Word gets around in the sales team that no one's really making a bunch of money, and you're literally deflecting A players from staying on your offer. You have to fix this to attract high quality talent. And this isn't about cheap sales calls. This is about spending less money to get a fucking customer. It's about decreasing your CAC. And let me just break down what I mean by this and like what your typical funnel looks like. You have your ad, you have your landing page, you go to a VSL, calendar page, you have your sales call, and then, you close, you get your money. What people focus on here is ultimately getting people on a sales call for only $100. But the problem here is, and this is something that we have faced, so I'm talking to my old self here as much as, our clients, is if it takes 30 sales calls to get a deal to close, then that means that you have to multiply this bad boy by 30, and then your CAC is literally $3K. So if you're selling something sub $6,000, $7,000, you are automatically at like a 50% margin in the business. This doesn't include sales team commission. This doesn't include anything else. So there's no way you're going to be hyper profitable if you're dealing with this. So what you really need to aim to do is not get so scared about your cost per call and focus way more on your CAC, because this is really what we're talking about here. How much money do I need to spend to get a customer? You need to revolve all of your marketing around that number. Everything else is just vanity metrics. When you book really cheap sales calls, that's great. And if you can get $100 cost per calls and a low CAC, hell yeah, we're about to print some money. But really what we're asking to do here is push all of the sales inefficiency into marketing inefficiency. And what this looks like is your cost per call will go up. You're going to be booking $200, $250, $300 sales calls, and that's perfectly fine, because if you are getting the right people on the phones who want your stuff, you're going to see more like 70% show rates. You're going to see more like 30, 40% close rates. And if we map this out here, being conservative, let's say $300 sales call, 70% show rate, 35% close rate, big brain math. This now puts our CAC at a beautiful $1,225. So you might look at the $300 call and be like, oh my God, let's spend less money. Let's change our ads. Let's get cheaper calls. But you're literally 3 times more profitable, and you decrease your CAC by 3x. This is the game here. This is what we're talking about. And as easy as it sounds to do some calculator math, I'm going to show you the 3 things here that you need to implement in order to get your CAC down and increase your calendar efficiency. Because if you put the inefficiency on marketing spend in your filtration system, then you increase your calendar efficiency. Each rep is making more money. You have less reps to manage, and you actually get better client results. The first piece of this is messaging. And I'm not talking about sending text to your girlfriend. I'm talking about the language that you speak. What you need to be doing with your messaging in your top of funnel content, your top of funnel ads, throughout your funnel, your VSLs, is to be using the language and speaking to the pain points of the top 10% of your clients. And in order to do that, you have to actually know with data who the top 10% of your clients are and what commonalities they have. And it's easy to say off the top of your head, like, oh, our top 10% of clients kind of like do this. That's not what I'm talking about. What you need to do is you need to go to your client success team, go to your coaches, your fulfillment team, and ask them what attributes they love about their top clients that get the best results. And then ask them their age, their demographics, their background, their experience level, their income level. Are they married? Are they not married? Are they a guy? Are they a girl? And then go to your sales team and say, hey, who's the easiest to close? Who's paying in full? And you need to pull all that data together, look at the metrics, and really decipher and hunker down on who that top 10% of clients is. And then all of your marketing now only speaks to the top 10% of clients. Because if you can tighten your messaging to only speak to those people, there's still gonna be your 50% clients. There might even be your bottom 30% of clients. But in general, the entire quality of your whole funnel will be drastically better. So it's taking all the data from the end of the funnel, your clients, and moving that all to top of funnel. So as we're talking about earlier, you have your landing page, you have your VSL, and then you basically just have like the traffic, right? And the traffic is what I'm talking about here, because I see a lot of clients that are like, hey, we don't know why we're dealing with bad lead quality, bad show rates. And then I'm like, okay, like show me your ads. And their ads are like, if you want to make 20K a month doing nothing and you have no money and you're 18 years old and you have no experience, you can do this in just 1 hour a day. And I'm like, huh. Do you have a lot of broke 18-year-olds that don't want to do anything, that don't have any money, that aren't paying for your shit? And they're like, how'd you know? You know what I mean? And it's so obvious. We had a specific business that hopped on a sales call, was wanting some sales reps and wanted help with their marketing and sales processes. I didn't even look at their ads yet. I just looked at their website. It was just printed, pasted everywhere in their booking forms, on their calendar, on their main page of the website in big, huge letters. Start for $129 a month. And I was like, man, these guys are doing couple $1,000,000 a year, $129 a month subscription. That's surprising. I get talking with them. They're selling a $6,000 high ticket service, but they have financing in the most stretched out payment plan you could do with the highest interest rates is $129 a month. And within 5 minutes of the call, I said, hey, you guys dealing with people that don't have money? And they're like, how'd you know? And I broke it down into their messaging. When you're earlier in the game of marketing, you want to say anything you can to get attention, to get eyeballs to the largest group of people so that you can just get traffic to the funnel. But really, your top of funnel messaging should be pushing away people just as equally as it is pulling people in. This is a game of pushing away poor people and pulling in dream clients. And the messaging is how you get that done. And what we experience at Closing Bible, which is like our sales training and placement offer, is that our top 10% of clients are anywhere from about 24 to 32 years old. And they usually have anywhere from a year to 2 years of sales experience. We saw that people that were older than that didn't really have the drive and the willpower to go hard. So when we put them in businesses, they were just people that were too young. Once they started making a little bit of money, they just quit immediately and gave up. So we knew that that age group was our sweet spot. We also found that people with sub a year of experience had way too big of a learning curve and didn't perform as well. Whereas we saw people with too much sales experience weren't malleable in their process. They were very stuck in their ways. And as they stepped into, the world of high ticket sales or just different sales teams that have different sales processes, they wouldn't budge and they weren't malleable in the way that they sold, and they were very stuck in their ways. And that the reps actually performed the best that had less experience. So then our ad targeting, our messaging, all the stuff through our funnels only speaks to those people. The second piece of this that I want to talk about is your funnel. And the most common funnel that we've just by far seen to be the best is a landing page, opt-in, VSL, form, calendar, and then we got one more here, thank you page, okay? This is really what I'm talking about. And when it comes to a landing page, in a real ideal opt-in rate you want to look for is about 15%. We've seen that when we had opt-in rates that are like 20, 25%, we're just letting way too many people through, and it hurts us more than it helps us. And if we have opt-in rates lower than 10%, we don't have enough lead flow coming through to stack calendars. Everything that I'm talking about in this video is this game of introducing friction and pulling friction away. Because you want to introduce enough friction to get the right people on the phones, but not so much friction that the right people going through the process decide to hop off. Any step you add to the sales process will make more people drop off and will increase your cost to get calls on the calendar. So this is never ending oscillating thing. And that's literally what your marketing department should be doing all day, every day. That's their job, is to toy with this. So let me talk for a second about the landing page. We've split tested 2 times a week, every single week for the past 2 years. And we found that logo, short little line, fat headline, short little line, button, nothing else converts the best. The more shit you add, the more confused people get. And this is a game of simplicity. We don't need to add 100 million testimonials because we have our top line saying that we're trusted by 1,549 sales professionals. Also, by adding the verbiage of sales professionals, this pushes away people who are not in sales because we don't work with anyone who doesn't have sales experience. You have a very direct headline. This is very direct and to the point because the more fancy you get with your marketing, the more confused people get. Direct communication where people aren't confused will always trump fancy marketing. And then I have this bottom line, which really just like subtext. It's adding more context to your current headline. And we already have all of our ads and everything centered around that specific age group for people who do have sales experience. And then we're driving the point home. Like, you are a sales rep, you do have sales experience, and you are dealing with these current pain points. What is that? Maybe you're not remote. You're not talking to warm inbound leads. You're dealing with cold leads, whether you're door knocking, you're cold calling, you're whatever. It speaks to them. And because the messaging is down to the people that we specifically want, we get better leads through the door, which means when we go for our opt-in here, our setters are speaking to qualified opt-ins. I could have made my headline, how anyone can travel the world and make 20K a month only working 1 to 2 hours a day with no experience as a complete beginner, and we'll get way more leads, but they're all gonna fucking suck. And even worse, we're gonna have beginners with no money that don't want to do anything hopping on sales calls, and that is not what we want here. And then when it comes to the VSL, more times than not, people aren't even getting past the first couple minutes anyway before they book a call. So what you need to focus on in your VSL is making those first couple minutes to make sure your messaging is speaking directly to them, hitting their pain points, hitting your qualifiers, and hitting their desires. The messaging in the funnel here is essential. But ultimately, when you're putting a high volume of people through this bad boy, you need a form to do the final levels of filtration to keep the wrong people off the calendars and protect your sales team's time without making your cost per call too high. And that is where step number 3 steps in here, which is the form. This piece is so essential. And I see far too many people do this wrong. A lot of times when I see people's forms, when they go to book a call, it's like, do you have over 5K to invest? Will you show up? Yes or no? Will you give me money? And it creates so much pressure and tension and friction where they're like, I was interested in booking a call, but I don't know if I want to give you $5,000 and I don't want to be disrespectful or waste your time. So I'm just not going to book a call. And you can't punish people for not wanting to give you $5,000 because they watched 2 minutes of your shitty VSL. And you can't punish people for not wanting to be absolutely 100% sold when they've never even spoken to you. Like, that's the purpose of the sales call. The purpose of everything prior to the sales call is making sure they're qualified, they're problem aware, and they're solution aware. So you need to pull way more tension out of your booking form, and it needs to be as few questions as possible, but hits all the qualifying factors. For us, we already know because of the traffic that's being pushed to the funnel and the language that we're speaking before they even hit our funnel, that they're the right age, they have sales experience, there's no beginners in here. And we hit all of our qualifying factors in as few questions as physically possible. And then beyond that, it's really a game of giving our sales team context on the amount of pain that they're in and what pain that is and why they're trying to get a solution from us, and then what things they desire. So they have context stepping into the sales call, and that's all there is to it. Once we have this form and we have this thing bulletproof and we have enough data going through this form, we do what's called an application grading system. And this is the key here to keeping your calendars efficient. What is an application grading system? Basically looks like this. So we have our form, question 1, question 2, 3, 4, you get the drill. And then we have multiple choice answers. So we have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, you get the drill, right? We keep everything multiple choice if possible. And then we have a few questions where they can actually give us context, write out a paragraph, write out a couple sentences. And what we're doing here is we're grading the quality of their answers on a scale of 1 to 4. 4 being the best lead possible, 1 being the worst lead possible. We get the points out of all the questions, then we get a total average score. This lead score checks out as like a 4, that's the best it could possibly be. We get the overall score, and then 1s get canceled, 2s get triage by setter, and then on the calendar, you mark them as free as available. So if a 3 or 4 books that slot, you can take that call instead. And then the 3s are pretty much green lights across the board. Closers just simply take these calls. My handwriting is getting progressively worse here. The closers take those calls. Now, as you get more data, you're constantly going to look at these forms once you have a better process laid out for this. And then you're going to look at, out of these people who fill out these questions, what people are showing up, what people are closing, and what people are having the highest percentage of cash collected. And if you want to go even further, which clients are getting the best results. And then you have this never-ending standing rinse and repeat process where you're upgrading your rubric and tweaking stuff accordingly. Because what you might see is you might have, 3s and 4s on your calendar, but you still have bad show rates and close rates. That means that your questions suck or your rubrics suck, and you have to change it accordingly. And that, my friends, is the secret to stacking your sales calendars with only dream clients. I know it's a pretty chunky process and there's a lot to implement, but if you want me and my team to help you navigate this process and staff sales reps into your business, you can go to hiresalesreps.io, my company, at the link in the description, and me and my team will help you with all this. And if you have any questions on how to implement this process, go ahead and comment below on this video and I'll answer any and all questions you might have.